MCC is theologically more Protestant. Filipino population in general is theologically more Catholic. How do you bridge or navigate those theological and liturgical differences? Do you reach out more to Protestants? Do you work twice as hard to make people with more Catholic sense of theology and worship feel welcome too? Loaded yung question, no? Might need quite a discussion. For others, for the information of the general public, any Christian church that is not part of the Roman Catholic Church is by default and technically is a Protestant church. So, since MCC is not under the jurisdiction of the Roman Catholic Church, then by default we are a Protestant church. But MCC is more complex than that. MCC, and specifically Open Table MCC, we define ourselves, or we see ourselves as an ecumenical and progressive critical church. We are progressive and ecumenical and critical with our theological perspectives and methods of theological reflection. Meaning that we believe and we consider what is best in every Christian tradition or denomination, whether it be mainline Protestant, Roman Catholic, Eastern Orthodox, or Evangelical Protestant. A church historian said that there is so much wealth in the universal church for the last 2,000 years. There is so much theological wealth that to say that we are just subscribing, or we are just Roman Catholic, or we are just Lutheran or Methodist, is missing a lot of wisdom from all traditions. So it's actually better to have a more open approach towards different theological persuasions and perspectives. So, and in MCC, we also believe that theology and doctrine is conversational and that it is developmental. I mean, you just look at church history and that theology and doctrine over time has developed and developed through conversation, through or arguments in the history. But so MCC believes that theology and doctrine is conversational, which I think is a good idea, meaning that we can learn from each other's theology, doctrines, and practices. In more concrete ways, the MCC churches in Latin America, like Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, they have taken an approach where their worship is more liturgically Roman Catholic, because that is the religious culture of their area, of their place, of their society. Open Table MCC, on the other hand, tries to balance the theological and liturgical practices of our church, of our community. During the high seasons of Christmas, Lent, and Easter, that's where we are more liturgical, in the sense that the pastor during Christmas, Lent, and Easter would wear the traditional vestments, liturgical vestments, and also using some iconography, some icons. But during the seasons of ordinary time, from about June to November, the pastor would wear only a more secular formal clothing, or the clergy collar kind of uniform, and a stole. So that's our practice. But yeah, we are more open for some of our members who still have Roman Catholic tradition, comes from a Roman Catholic background. If they have a devotion to the Blessed Mother, Mother Mary, then if they want to pray the Rosary, by all means, pray the Rosary, say a novena. We encourage them in those practices. And that should not be a source of conflict or contention among us. There is a saying in the United Church of Christ in the Philippines, UCCP, united by Christ. What unites us is our faith and worship in Jesus Christ. Everything else can be, we can talk about it. As in a Christian church, how does it work? So yun yung tanong niya. Like any other Christian church, except that we, unlike other more traditional churches, we accept, we affirm, we celebrate LGBTQI+ persons.